We're going to the arena right now. Head down to South Philly. Right. Check in from the center. One Derek Bodner doing double duty. Did the show earlier today live from the Reading Terminal, which he and Kyle were fantastic. I was watching and enjoyed it with the Christmas wish list for the Sixers. And back at the arena tonight. And Derek, you just like you, man. You don't have to put on the mask because you're too handsome. Joel puts the mask on, and he's out there. And while he missed the first two shots, what if you had an opportunity to speak to Joel Embiid, because I know he takes a while, what did Joel Embiid have to say after his performance tonight with 34 and 9, missing his first two shots, and he looked pretty good after that? And then the fact that what went into the decision for him playing tonight and not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, he didn't really address the decision to play tonight instead of tomorrow. He basically spoke about getting back into a rhythm and feeling better in the second half and things of that sort. I think for the most part, what stood out to me early on, because I thought, he did miss his first couple of shots, but I thought he did a real good job of controlling the game, of creating shots for others. A lot of times when Joel Embiid has sort of like these stretches where he doesn't play much basketball, and even though he only missed one game with the sinus fracture, he had only played one game in like the last 12 or so games.
Yep.
A lot of times he'll get sloppy, maybe try to force things, set a little too much for the jumper. Early on, I just thought he had real good chemistry. I thought he had a real good control of the game. He was manipulating the defense and kicking out when he had to. He was making nice passes to Paul George, to Kelly. He had a number of kickouts to Kelly, and just making the simple, easy reads very consistently. And I thought he did a real good job of controlling the game. And then obviously, as the game wore on in the second half, he got to his spots in the mid-range. He started getting the free throw line a little bit more. He pulled off a pump fake to a Euro step, which are the kind of moves that make him so unique. And he just got into a much better rhythm. But I really thought he did a pretty good job of like I said, controlling the game offensively, manipulating the defense, and getting good shots for his teammates. And it was a Charlotte team without their two best players. Like I wrote in the recap, we're not having a victory tour over any of this. But I thought he did a real good job, given how infrequently he has played.
Real fast, just to follow up on at the end of the game, he raised some really quick decisions at the end for himself, not his teammates, where the burst, you saw that, where he had his mind made up, similar to what you and Kyle and we talk about from the Olympics against Jokic in that Serbia game, where ball swings to him, he already knows he's going. And it didn't look like he was restricted at all. The knee wasn't slowing him down at all. Made a decision, two really good, as you brought up, the Euro step, and another burst where he finished at the rim with some kind of crazy scoop shot that he made, but it was so under control, to your point, that it was really good to see that so late in the game, especially when they really needed those buckets to close out, as Charlotte just simply wouldn't go away.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought he looked like he trusted the knee. And obviously, we all know that can be a day-to-day thing. Who knows? He can play 3 games like he did earlier and then miss a couple of weeks. It's just we're always going to be on pins and needles watching this guy play basketball, because that's where we are with the way that knee is. But I do think he looked like he trusted it tonight. And maybe he was distracted by being concerned about the face and having to wear the mask, that maybe then you don't guess as much with the knee. I don't know, but I thought he did look good. I think that's true.
So Derek, obviously he's not going to play tomorrow, with the back-to-backs. Is there any word or any talk about, him being on a minutes restriction at all going forward, or is he basically all gloves off?
There wasn't any talk about that. What did he end up playing here tonight? He ended up playing with 31, 32 minutes.
Yeah.
No, there wasn't any talk of a minutes restriction. Obviously, like you said, he's not playing tomorrow in Cleveland. Paul George will, which I know there was a lot of talk earlier in the season of him being restricted on back-to-backs, but he will give it a go. And sounds like he feels good. But no, there's no direct talk about minutes restrictions. Obviously, I think they're going to be, I don't want to say conservative, but cautious with it because of the way that the knee has troubled him throughout the year. But no direct minutes restriction.
Derek Bodner joining us live from the arena following the Sixers win, 108-98, season sweep over the Charlotte Hornets. So Derek and Kyle don't have to see the teal anymore.
I don't hate the teal. I don't know what Kyle's problem with the teal is, and I also don't hate playing the Hornets. I mean, look, over 50%, or not over 50%, 4 of their 9 wins on the season have come against the Hornets. Load up on the Hornets. I don't understand the hate.
Every night, play the Hornets until you get back into. That's right. Until you get back into the green, man. You need to get back into the green. Almost there to double digits. With that, man, Tyrese Maxey looked decent. Got off to a great start with the 15, but Paul George struggled again. So this is just the 4th game with all 3 of the big 3. No disrespect to the big 4 with Jared McCain out, Derek, and Paul George struggled, but once again, he does other things to help impact the game. And when he has struggled in the past with Embiid off the floor, just he and Maxey, you see the impact. You feel it as we're watching the game. But when he struggles with Embiid and Maxey having decent nights, Kelly Oubre picking up the scoring slack, which I'm sure we'll get to a little bit later, that you just want to see those guys do other things to help impact a W, and that's exactly what he did tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, did he struggle in terms of shooting? Yes. And he looked like he was sort of, taking what the game gave to him, going at half speeds at time offensively. He shot 1 for 7 from 3, which was a very early season Paul George shooting display. But I actually thought he played a really good game otherwise, to the point where I thought one of the stories of the first half was how well he was creating shots for others, whether that's in sort of like the pick and roll and dribble handoff. I think he got Embiid his first bucket of the night on a real easy roll to the basket. He had to kick out to Oubre early on. He made a kick out to Maxey early on where he was, toying with the defense, and Charlotte kept sending those soft double teams, and he kicked it out, reposted, kicked it out again, got Maxey an easy catch and shoot 3. And I thought his defense, like it has been for pretty much the entire season, was good. He had, I think double-digit rebounds, so he was a contributor there as well. I thought he actually played a really good all-around game. It's just he wasn't aggressive looking for his shot, and he didn't really need to be because you got 30 from Embiid, and Maxey was hot from the perimeter, and Kelly played such a good game offensively. I thought he picked and chose his spots relatively well, especially if the plan was always going to be to try to get him to play. I thought tonight, trying to defer, running a lot of their half-court offense, I actually was pretty optimistic with the way he played. Would I love for the shots to go in? Yeah, of course. But if the shot's not going to go in, defending at the level he is, playmaking at the level that he did, and contributing on the glass, that's sort of what you want from a third star. That's what made him so attractive, is because on nights where your top two are going, he can sort of slide into that more playmaker and facilitator role. He will have nights like we have seen pretty recently where he'll score 29, 30 plus points and carry you to a win. Being able to go between both is great. Obviously, he's not at the point where he's going to give you 30 every night on a consistent basis. Otherwise, the Clippers wouldn't have let him go. But I was actually pretty encouraged by the way he played.
So, Derek, before you got on, we were talking about the bench. A couple good runs tonight by Yabusele, a couple good runs for Ricky Council.
Go get him, Rick.
Outside of that, though, the bench, hasn't been giving you much. It didn't give you much tonight. I mean, you look around the league, the average bench gives you, 30, 35 points a game. Any concerns about, how reliant this team is on, the first team guys to score baskets?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, look, they played, Kyle Lowry played 6 of the worst minutes in the first half that we've seen in a while. And Kyle's played some really bad minutes. Again, going back over a month now to November 12th, I think he's shooting about 18% from the field and 6% from three-point range. And now you're sitting here with Jared McCain out, with Caleb Martin out, so Kelly Oubre is playing more minutes in the front court. You have to rely on players like Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon to give you minutes. Contending teams do not rely on Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry to give you minutes. So, yeah, it's a pretty significant concern. You hope that will get a little bit better when Caleb Martin eventually comes back. You'd love it if Jared McCain wasn't out, but he is, so you have to live in this reality. And all of a sudden, something that was already a weakness just becomes that much more. Yeah, no, if they get to the point where they're playing good basketball and they claw their way back and they're 9-16 and what maybe like a game or even a half game out of the 10 seed, if that continues to go in the right direction, yeah, you have to get more depth, and you specifically have to get more depth on the perimeter.
And finally, Kelly Oubre. I'm sorry, did I cut you? No, Kelly Oubre, man, just once again, and we talk about it. He gets off. He has the Kelly Oubre experience where he'll do some things that have you scratching your head. But he, teaming up with Maxey early on for a really good start, finished with 8 in the first quarter. But overall, on the night, with 22 points and 8 of 10. Once again, efficient. We've seen him 7 for 11, 8 for 10 from the floor, knocking down his perimeter shot as well. He was 4 for 6 from 3 tonight, and just doing the other stuff, the defensive stuff, really settling into that fourth option when all three are on the floor, and certainly that third option when they're just the two of George and Maxey.
Yeah, for him to only have 10 shot attempts on a night where he was clearly playing well and clearly, taking the right shots on a night where he played 39 minutes, to have only 10 shot attempts, I give him a lot of credit for that kind of restraint. And I think when you look at, he's shooting the ball real well, almost 50% from 3-point range. I think it was 14 for 30 over the previous 7 games coming into tonight, and add 4 of 6 on top of it. Do I expect him to struggle eventually? Yeah, look, Kelly is not a 50% three-point shooter. Nobody is, but Kelly certainly throughout his career has not been. But I don't think it's completely just low sample size streak either. I think he is taking significantly and markedly better shots. I think you're not seeing those, pull up contested 2-pointers with 17 left that almost always turned into transition points for the opposition. I think he's mostly just taking open catch and shoot threes, whether that's from the corner or from the wing on kickouts from Embiid. And I think he's cutting and really limiting his offense to shots that he can make. And when he does that, he is a completely different player. So yeah, I think he played an almost perfect role player game here in this one. I thought he had some moments in the second half where he really struggled to get through screens, and Micic specifically burned him and burned the Sixers as a whole. But other than that, I give him so much credit for playing within his role, playing, taking and making shots that he can make. It has been a completely different experience over the last 8 or so games from Kelly than it was in the previous month before then. I give him a lot of credit for that turnaround. I hope it continues.
Looking like the March, April of 2024 Kelly Oubre, where he looked really good going into the postseason for the 76ers last season.
We all silly like the mayor.